Have you ever wondered why some prayers seem to be answered instantly, while others seem to fall flat? Why do some people pray so fervently and yet see no change in their lives? What if I told you that there is a secret, simple but powerful, that turns prayer into a real bridge to God, a secret that many people don't know about, and that even religious leaders avoid talking about? The truth is, it's not enough to just talk. It's how you connect. What's behind the words you speak? What is your heart carrying at the moment you ask? Today I'm going to reveal this secret that could completely change the way you pray. And more than that, how you receive the answers you so desperately seek. Stay with me to the end and discover what really hinders or enhances your connection with the Father. It may be that the key you're looking for to transform your life lies in something you've never imagined. Are you willing to hear the truth? Have you ever prayed for something with all your heart, but felt that your words were left hanging in the air unanswered? How many times have you been on your knees begging for a solution and nothing has changed? Many people feel this frustration. They feel ignored by God, like they are talking to themselves. But what if I told you that it's not God who is silent, but the way you connect with Him that may be misaligned? People have been taught to repeat words, to recite set phrases, to bend their knees as an automatic ritual. But prayer is not a magic formula or a set of memorized words. True prayer comes from the heart, not the mouth. It is not an insistent request, but an attunement to the source of existence. When I was with you, I said, when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who sees in secret. Do you realize the depth of this instruction? I wasn't talking about a physical room, but about an inner state. The room is the silence of the mind. The closed door is the absence of distractions, and the Father who sees in secret is the supreme intelligence that responds to the essence of who you are, not just what you say. Prayer is not an isolated act, it is a frequency. Every thought you have, every feeling you have throughout the day is your true prayer. If you pray for peace but live with worry, your real prayer is not what you say on your knees, but what you feel all the time. If you ask for prosperity, but carry within you a belief in scarcity, your heart is sending a different message than what your lips are saying. And it is that inner message that will be answered. Humans have created the illusion that they must convince God to answer them, as if He is reluctant to give. But the reality is the opposite. God already provides everything in abundance. The flow of life never stops. What happens is that many, without realizing it, cut themselves off from that source. They pray for light, but they close their eyes to see. Have you ever noticed how some people who never lose faith, who live with gratitude, live a life of grace? They don't beg. They are attuned. They understand that prayer is not a cry for help, but a state of communion. God doesn't need to be convinced to give. He has already given. What's needed is for you to be receptive to receiving. Many people say, "But I have faith." I believe, but is your faith real, or is it just wishful thinking? There's a difference between faith and hope. Real faith doesn't demand. It doesn't ask for signs. It doesn't worry about the outcome. True faith rests because it knows that it has already been answered the moment it felt the truth in its heart. And then another question arises. If God has already given me everything, why don't I see any changes? The answer lies in what is preventing you from seeing and feeling this reality. There are invisible barriers that make even those who believe feel far from the answer. Let's understand what these barriers are and how to remove them. Have you ever stopped to think that the answer to your prayer has often already been sent, but something within you prevents it from manifesting? It's not God that denies it, but the invisible barriers that stand between you and what you are asking for. And these barriers are not external, but internal. One of the greatest obstacles to effective prayer is doubt. The human heart often claims to believe, but it carries uncertainty. And when the mind doubts, it creates noise in communication with God. Have you ever tried to tune in to a radio station, but all you heard was a hiss? So it is with prayer when there is uncertainty. The answer is there, but the frequency of your faith is not tuned to receive it. Another great block is fear. Many ask for protection but live in fear of the future. They cry out for provision but fear lack. Do you see how contradictory this is? How can you trust in God and at the same time fear that He won't provide for? You fear and faith cannot live in the same heart. Where there is fear, there is no real trust. In addition to fear and doubt, there is another more subtle obstacle, attachment to the result. If you pray but become impatient, anxiously waiting for the manifestation of what you have asked for, your energy is attached to lack, not abundance. Those who truly believe don't wait anxiously. They live as if they have already received, knowing that the answer is already in motion. There is also a blockage that few recognize, the lack of forgiveness. Many ask for blessings but hold resentment in their hearts. How can divine love flow in a soul that is closed to love? A heart that harbors resentment becomes a barren land where the seeds of blessing cannot germinate. If you feel that your prayer isn't moving forward, look within. See if there is anyone you need to forgive. Prayer is a channel of communication between you and the Father. But if your mind is full of noise, fear, doubt, attachment, resentment, the connection is weakened. God is not distant. He never has been. But if your conscience is filled with worry and negativity, how can you hear His answer? That's why true prayer is not just a request, but a state of surrender. A clean heart, a calm mind, a serene faith. This is the soil in which blessings flourish. When you free yourself from these blockages, you begin to realize that God is already speaking. He has never stopped. What's needed is not for Him to answer, but for you to learn to listen. And if prayer isn't about begging or waiting anxiously, what makes it really powerful? What makes some words come alive while others remain empty? The answer lies in what gives prayer its power and turns it into something that really moves reality. Have you ever noticed how some people speak beautiful words, recite eloquently decorated prayers, but still feel empty? That's because it's not the beauty of the words that moves God's heart, but the truth that vibrates behind them. Prayer, to be alive and effective, must be born of real emotion, not just rehearsed speech. When I asked people to pray in secret, it wasn't so that they could isolate themselves physically, but so that they could find a space within themselves where they could be truly authentic before the Father. It's no good saying long words if your heart is far away. A powerful prayer is one that comes from the depths of the soul with sincerity and humility. Imagine a child who, without fear or ceremony, approaches his father and with simplicity says what he feels. That is the essence of living prayer. It's not about impressing with words, but about opening your heart with honesty. God doesn't hear the sound of your voice. He hears the vibration of your being. And here is the secret that many ignore. Faith is not waiting for something to happen. Faith is knowing that it has already happened. When you pray believing that you are trying to convince God to do something, you are already coming from a place of lack. But when you pray with the certainty that the Father has already provided everything, your words carry a creative power. This is the difference between an empty prayer and a prayer that transforms realities. There's a simple story that illustrates this. A man lived in a drought-stricken village. One day, the people decided to gather to pray for rain. Everyone came with words of faith, but only one little girl brought an umbrella. This child didn't just ask, she expected the rain. And isn't that what true faith does? It acts as if it has already received. When I was among you, I saw many crying out in desperation, but not really believing that they would be heard. And I also saw those who, without saying a word, touched the Father's heart with a simple look of gratitude and surrender. For it is not what comes out of the mouth that counts, but what beats in the heart. It's common for people to stick to ready-made formulas, thinking that repeating certain words will guarantee an answer. But prayer is not a magic formula. It's an intimate conversation with God. And like any true relationship, it's authenticity that makes all the difference. Have you ever stopped to talk to someone who, while talking, is thinking about something else? That's what many prayers are like. Words fly, but the mind wanders. How can you expect an answer if your heart isn't in it? To pray with living faith, you must feel. Feel every word you say. Don't just ask with your mouth, ask with your whole being. Imagine that what you want is already real. Feel the gratitude as if you had already received it. For the answer already exists. It's your connection. to it that needs to be adjusted. And once that connection is made with truth and sincere emotion, prayer ceases to be a simple request and becomes a direct channel to the divine. It is in this state that things begin to change, not because you deserve or force it, but because you have aligned yourself with the truth that everything is already in place. But even after such a prayer, many still ask themselves, "What now? What do I do after I pray?" Because just as important as the act of praying is the attitude you maintain after you have made your request. And that's what we need to talk about. Have you ever noticed that many people pray, but soon after they go back to worrying, doubting, and even trying to solve everything on their own? They say they trust God, but they continue to carry the burden as if nothing has changed. But how do you know if your prayer was really said in faith? Simple, by the peace you feel afterwards. If you still feel anxious, restless, or afraid that nothing will happen after you've finished praying, it means you haven't really surrendered. Praying isn't just talking to God. It's putting into His hands what was previously in your hands. If you place something on the altar of the Father and then take it away, your prayer is not complete. True faith brings rest. It doesn't mean that you stand still and do nothing, but that you know that everything is already on its way. When we plant a seed in the ground, we don't keep digging it up to see if it grows. We just trust the process and move on with our lives. Prayer is like that seed. Once planted, it needs to be nurtured with trust and gratitude, not doubt and despair. And here is one of the biggest mistakes that keeps people from getting what they ask for. They live in the frequency of lack. They ask for health, but they talk about their illnesses all the time. They pray for prosperity, but complain about money that never comes. They pray for peace, but live with thoughts of conflict. How can one reap joy when he sows sorrow? The answer to prayer already exists in the spiritual realm. But for it to manifest in your life, you must be aligned with what you have asked for. This means acting, speaking, and thinking like someone who has already received. It means not just saying you trust, but living like someone who trusts. Many people think that prayer ends when they say Amen, but the truth is that is just the beginning. What you do after that is just as important as the prayer itself. If you ask God for something, but continue to harbor thoughts of doubt, it's like planting a seed and pulling it up out of the ground every day. And there's something even more powerful. That strengthens this surrender. Gratitude in advance. Those who give thanks before they see the result demonstrate a mature faith. Because gratitude isn't just a nice feeling, it's an affirmation. Those who give thanks before they see are declaring to the universe that they know their prayer has been heard. So after you pray, don't go back to the fear you had before. Don't look for signs or wonder when things will change. Go like someone who has already received. Trust like someone who knows he will be sustained. Smile, live, breathe deeply, and go about your day with the assurance that what you have asked for has already begun to manifest. And if praying isn't just about asking, but living in harmony with what you're asking for, then it's important to understand how your life must be in harmony with your words. Because it's not enough to just talk to God. You have to live in a way that is consistent with what you're asking. Have you ever thought about how many times you've asked God for changes in your life, but you've continued to live the same way you always have? It's easy to pray for peace when you feed on conflict. It's easy to ask for abundance while fearing scarcity. How often have you prayed for love but cultivated judgment? To receive what you ask for, your life must reflect what you want. Praying is important, but what's the point of asking with words if your actions and thoughts are going in the opposite direction? Imagine someone planting apple seeds but expecting to harvest grapes. It seems pointless, doesn't it? That's how many people live. They want external changes without changing what they carry inside. When I asked you to seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, it was because everything you seek is already available if your life is in harmony with divine principles. This kingdom is not somewhere far away. It is within you, waiting to be recognized and lived. When you act with love, truly forgive, and trust the flow of life, you will naturally begin to see changes take place. And it's not about perfection or rigidity, it's about authenticity. If you want prosperity, live generously. If you want peace, Become a bearer of peace wherever you are. Do you want love? Love first. Everything you send out returns to you like an echo that responds to the sound you send out. Many people think it's enough to pray and wait passively, but true prayer is accompanied by conscious action. If you ask for health, take care of your body and mind. If you ask for opportunities, pay attention to the paths that open up, even if they come in unexpected ways. Life responds to your attitude, not just your words. Remember that God doesn't look at the outside, but at the heart. It's not about appearing good, it's about living the truth you want to see in the world. It starts with small attitudes, a gesture of kindness, a positive thought in the face of difficulty, a word of encouragement to someone in need. And even if the results aren't immediate, don't give up. Many transformations take place in the invisible before they manifest in the visible. Just as the seed grows silently beneath the earth before breaking through the surface, the answers to your prayers may be in preparation, even if you can't see them yet. Allow yourself to trust this process. Live as if the answer is already on. It's way for it is. Every thought, feeling, and action you choose is a brick in the construction of the reality you desire. Life is not something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you. And when you realize this truth, you understand that prayer is not just a moment of talking to God, but an invitation to live in constant communion with Him. It is in daily life, in small choices, that you connect with the source that provides all your needs. May love go with you and illuminate your every step. And may you remember that you are never alone. The peace you seek is already within you. All you have to do is live in harmony with it. May your path be illuminated, and may you discover the peace that dwells within you. Now you know that prayer is not a desperate plea, but a state of connection. God was never far away. He has always been there, waiting for you to open your eyes and see that the answer is already there. Stop doubting. Stop begging like you are unworthy. You were not created to live in scarcity, doubt, or fear. The Father has already provided. Your only job is to align your heart with that truth. Be one who not only prays but lives as one who has already received. Trust without hesitation. Act with the certainty that the best is coming because it already is. May your life be a reflection of your faith. May your mind be free of doubt, your heart be full of love, and your days be filled with the peace that passes all understanding. And may the divine light that already shines within you illuminate every step of your journey. You are not alone. You never have been, and you never will be. May your path be illuminated, and may you discover the peace that dwells within you.